facility's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, just opened apparently.
It's very nice.
Sarah, they said it was a warehouse.
Yeah, that's right. I'm still running into a little bit of trouble. Sure. What do you think? That's what I'm thinking.
Turn this way.
Yeah, we turn a little bit this way.
Okay.
The background,
That can be B-roll.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine.
Is that better? Yeah, that's way better. Okay, great. Yeah, we don't want you to look like a silhouette. Okay, I think everything looks good on my end, so I just hit record.
Yeah, great.
We'll do the typical, I get you how you spell while I check your microphone.
Sure.
It's all working.
Congressman Tim Walz, Timwalz.
It's working. I think our first question is just the reason that we're having this tour going on, or stop here.
Yeah, we're gathered here in Waseca with literally the leadership from all of South Central Minnesota, ranging from mayors of New Ulm and Waseca, city managers, large businesses, small businesses, nonprofits, education institutions. And this is about an accumulation of about 18 months, ranging from town hall meetings, small group discussions, survey gathering, talking about what is the vitality, what are the strengths of Southern Minnesota, and where are the areas that we need to be prepared for it. And we fashioned this in a manner where we're going to get a very global perspective on trends that are happening. There's nothing we're going to be able to do about those, to a regionalism that takes hold of collaboration in Southern Minnesota to local. And so we're here to talk about how do we build that resiliency, how do we make sure that we're not just buffeted by future events randomly, that we're preparing for that.
Are we kind of all tag teaming here that way? If we want to go around, or if we just want to ask, I guess my next question would be why would it be important to have a tour of this discussion?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is that it's listening, and what we found out was this emanated out of 5 big town halls after the 2016 election, and I think it's no secret to everyone that there's political upheaval in the country. There's frustrations on all sides of the political aisle, but there's a desire of folks to continue to make a way of life that they've known, that their parents and grandparents knew, that in those changes, what can we do to make that sustainable? And so it came out of just listening to people and understanding. And so instead of just complaining, and in Waseca, to be very honest, we lost a major employer in Quad Graphics. And what happens? And as you heard David talk about, how do you deal with these things that are going to happen with the resiliency? Southern Minnesota has done that by being an agricultural district, by being a medical delivery, by being a manufacturing, by being a service. We have diversified an economy, but we need to prepare for a future that is going to be hungrier, thirstier, and more energy dependent. And there are a few places on the planet that have all of those resources. We do. So I think inside these challenges lay great opportunity.
So, if what this region needs requires some sort of assistance from the federal government, what would you say to these folks about the possibility of that happening in today's?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because that's one of the things, the frustration with a paralyzed government. As I said up here, one of the things that came out of this, whether it be amenities, housing, education, workforce, one of the things, Tom, was reforming government that actually works, something that says there needs to be predictability. Just an example of this in Laverne, there's a great example of when the government, both state and federal, collaborative amongst Iowa, South Dakota, and Minnesota. We collaborated on the Lewis and Clark Rural Water Project, a major water diversion from the Missouri River, that because of that project, Laverne is going to claim the title of shrimp capital of the world. We are going to grow most of the shrimp that are going to be consumed, certainly in the upper Midwest throughout there, in a sustainable manner with jobs being created in a way that honors workers' safety and all those things. That would not have happened without that partnership and joint partnership. So what I would tell them is we cannot accept nothing happening. We cannot accept transportation bills that are nothing more than messaging, and they should have a strong desire to know where their tax dollars are going. But in Laverne, they certainly saw the payoff of how that works. So what I would tell them is, And like I said here, a thank you for them to still believe in this. Do not accept the status quo of government that does not function and start finding some collaboration.
Lewis and Clark took decades?
Decades.
Okay.
Decades.
Would it be possible, starting from scratch right now, to get Lewis and Clark through Congress?
Wow, that's a great question. I remain the eternal optimist, as I always am, but I'm also pragmatic on this. Not with some of the people who are making decisions, no. They do not see the value in that. And again, I don't put just blame on certain people. I would say we have to do a better job, we as elected officials and we as the people we represent, articulating clearly why those dollars matter. We did it with Highway 14, and folks out here don't complain much about member-directed projects or money that was funneled and make sure Highway 14 got done, because 22 of the 25 largest employers set on Highway 14 made sense. But I think your question is fair. I think it would be very difficult, and I think that is one of the components that we've listed as the 5 major components. We've got to fix that, or it makes the rest of this harder.
All right, good. So as I walk around, I'm listening to your discussions. Obviously, there's a lot of
I guess your optimism that state level government can perform better. How much did that play? Do you know all about your future?
A lot. It was one of the probably the driving factor in this. I'm proud to have been able to represent the first district. I'm proud of the bipartisan nature and the effectiveness of what I've got done. But I've also been very frustrated, like others, of things that stymied us. That I think that being in a position to bring people together to find those compromises helps move it. I think those big decisions, whether it's healthcare, infrastructure, those are going to be state-level decisions. I'm not naive. You can't do healthcare without Medicare and Medicaid being part of it. You can't do transportation without the 50% that comes from the federal government. But you can change the narrative of how you build the coalitions to get the public will to get it done. So it played a big factor.
That we are facing the most remarkable consequences.
Good. Thank you
Thank you
very
all.
much.
But there are